joining me. This is the first episode of Wisdom Talks, a Vedic perspective. Uh, the whole reason of why I thought of delivering these talks was to see the condition of the students, the younger generation. And I have been a keen observer of the student life. I myself was a student, and I see my son, lot of other kids uh, who are facing problems in their day-to-day life, and sometimes they find it very difficult to cope with. I see students having anxiety issues, having a lot of stress. They are under a lot of pressure from their friends, from their families. So there are a host of issues which the students face. And uh, I have seen students for uh, some small glitch in their attitude or in their behavior, they cannot do justice to the capabilities and they lose opportunities which come their way. So uh, I have an intention, a humble intention to be of some value to our younger generation, because they are our future. They are also keen learners. I mean, if you give the right tools, they are fantastic learners. I have seen students who have shown tremendous results. They changed, they modified themselves. So this effort is to teach the younger generation some tricks, some modification in their learning methods, and you will yourself see that they will do wonders. They will be designed for coping up with the challenges of the next decade. Because in this time of pandemic, we have seen the job opportunities and the job scenario tremendously have changed. So people who have who are robust, who have certain values and principles in their life, they can really perform well. Otherwise, it will be a hard struggle. Uh, my inclination also is to make our students efficient and wise in their efforts, not only to perform well in their studies, but uh, it is to give them certain foundations, certain building blocks through which they can weather future challenges in their life. And what for? This is for living a meaningful, happy, and content life. So let me start sharing my screen with you. Uh, I have named these talks as Wisdom Talks, a Vedic perspective. And this, as I said, is to help our student friends, and it could be any individual, to lead an efficient, meaningful, happy, and content life. A happy and content life is very, very important, because uh, I have seen statistics where one thing which people regret at the end of their lives is that they are not happy and they are not content. They think that they could have done so many things in their life if would have been given a chance, and still they cannot do it, and that's how they end this human journey. So let's understand what wisdom means, because that's very important. We need to understand the whole logic of wisdom, because as people say, wisdom is common sense, but the common sense is not so common. There are ways and means to get that. Wisdom, as per the meaning from the dictionary, it means the quality of being wise. So wisdom means wise, and being wise and insightful, and to make a good judgment when we face a tough situation in our lives is is an experience, and there could be certain foundations which makes this insight, which gives you the insight of how to tackle with the situation in your life. It also means the quality of being experiential self-knowledge, which means that in a particular difficult situation, how we deal with it and what experience we get and what knowledge we get so that we don't repeat the same mistake again is also wisdom. Uh, so people say that wisdom, people as we grow old, we have wisdom, and we can better tackle the situation. But if there are certain inherent flaws in our in the way we think, in the way we have our attitude and behavior, even if we are 100 years old, that because of that flaw, that common sense will not come. So how we get this wisdom? So we will learn in this and in future talks that can we develop certain sort of this insightful way of tackling the things. We will see. And I have said we will do this with a Vedic perspective. Now, Vedas is a Sanskrit word which means knowledge. So, and also our Vedas, which are four in numbers, which is the Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sam Ved, and Atharv Ved. These are the four Vedas. They are aparushya. Aparushya means that they don't have any human origin. They have their origin is the Supreme Lord. So we see what difference does it make that if they have a human origin, because we have so many things which has human origin, like the modern science. The difference is that whatever comes from us humans, it changes over a period of time. It doesn't remain stable, because we have seen in science that there are so many theories which we learn either in physics or chemistry or mathematics, biology, wherein a particular scientist, he gives a theory, and then some other scientist, it disapproves that and comes up with a new theory. For example, we had the macroscopic theories of Newton, where it talks about the forces which play on the macroscopic level between different bodies, but the same theory doesn't apply to the planets, and it doesn't apply to the subatomic particles. So on the microscopic level, so the point is that it changes, it changes, but our Vedas are not like that. The knowledge in our Vedas is aparushya, because it's coming directly from the Supreme Lord. And these Vedas were first only heard, and until Ved Vyas compiled them in a written form, people were just listening to this knowledge and passing on in the disciplic succession. So people were so knowledgeable and they had a good memory that they were not depending upon the written literature. It was only done about 5,000 plus years ago. So today we have so many memory saving devices. We have the hard disk with terabytes of data which can be stored. But at that point of time, it was only Shruti. It was only listening, and that's how they gained all the knowledge. A lot of people say that the Vedic knowledge is just blind faith. Is it? Is it not? We can ourselves decide, because we see that a lot of Vedic knowledge, we ourselves are using it in day-to-day life. Like we have Ayurveda, wherein the good practitioner, which is called a Vaid, he checks the pulse, he checks the nadi, and he identifies the unbalance between Vata, Kapha, and Pitta, and tells us all the problems which we have in our body, as compared to modern medicine, wherein the doctor sees the symptoms and then he only tries to address those symptoms. So it's not holistic. It has a lot of side effects. For example, somebody can have a cancer, and if the symptoms are not there, we could be at the last stage of cancer before being diagnosed. We have the science of space, which is called Vastu, which we use. uh, in harmony with the nature. How should we build spaces? How we should build our homes, our offices. So that's also a perfect science which we use in day-to-day life. We have Vedic music, which is very soothing, which helps us in connecting the soul to the super soul. So that's how the deep Vedic music is. We have the Vedic language. Sanskrit is the Vedic language, and in Sanskrit, all the syllables which we have, they are phonetics, which means the way I'm speaking, the syllables are designed, or it is deciphered according to that. So it's just phonetics. It's not like the English language wherein there are no phonetics involved. So it's pretty easy. I heard that Sanskrit is the best language for programming. So these are the things which our Vedas teach us. There is Arthashastra, the complete science of governing, how the government should be, how a good leader should be, how the community or the society has to be taxed, everything about the military strategy. We have the Hitopadesh, the beneficial advice as a Vedic knowledge. And of course, we have the epics like Mahabharata and Ramayana, where we can learn each and every intricacies of human behavior, of how people interact, what's the purpose of our life, what's the meaning of our existence. So all these things are there in our Vedic knowledge, which is compiled in Vedas. Of course, we have the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, which which is the song of God, and it beautifully explains us how we should live, what goes on in our mind, why our mind sometimes sabotages us. I find in a lot of students, for example, I have one good friend of mine, and I have been seeing this kid, my colleague's son, who is brilliant. I mean, he has so sharp memory. He has so knowledgeable. But because of one flaw in his character, which is that he cannot keep his timelines, he has a habit of procrastinating. So, with this, I have seen that with such resources, he cannot do justice to his capabilities, and he misses out on a lot of opportunities. So what I mean to say is that we find, I mean, our students can vouch together with me that sometimes it happens that the we say that there is a devil inside, there is a shaitan which is lurking inside in our minds and in our intelligence, which pushes us to do bad things. I will not say, I mean, bad things, not in the literal sense, but it hurts us. I mean, sometimes we have seen this self-destructive behavior in our students, wherein they hurt themselves more than than their own relatives. I mean, their own parents. Sometimes the parents could also be stopping or having a negative effect on the kids. So what is it inside which sabotages you, which acts as an enemy inside you? uh, do I have inner demons? I mean, there is something, as I said, the shaitan inside us, and how a particular individual can slay them. So when we will take future discourse as we go along, then we will learn that there are certain elements which clearly sabotages our efforts. So in the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 3, verse number 36, Arjuna says that Athakena prayuktoyam papam charati purushah anicham api vashneya balad even yojita, which means that sometimes, as I said, we act as devils. I mean, and we ourselves realize after that that is there somebody else who has done that on our part, because we just cannot believe that I have myself hurt to the core, hurt myself to the core. So this is the question which Arjuna asks Krishna, and he says that something inside is impelling me, as it by force. Uh, I am doing these sinful acts or doing acts which are self-destructive. As I give you the example of my colleague's son. So uh, these are some of the things which the students face in day-to-day life. And let's before we go deep into seeing the problems and finding a way path forward, let me start with telling you a story of a dashing warrior. This warrior was was the biggest archer in the world, and he was preparing for the biggest battle of his life for 13 years. Uh, so you can, he was the best, and still he was preparing for this battle. And his capabilities was such that he could single-handedly destroy the complete army. And so when the D-Day came, he went well prepared, and then he saw his relatives on the other side. I mean, with which he was supposed to fight, and just by seeing his relatives, he was overwhelmed. He was overwhelmed. He forgot who he was. His limbs and his body started shaking. His mouth went dry. He was trembling all over, and his skin was burning. And then he dropped his bow and arrow, and then he was flabbergasted. He was bewildered. What to do? Seeing his own kith and kin, he thought that how can I fight these people? Uh, they will have this will have sinful effect on me. But he was supposed to fight on the side of dharma, because the other side was adharmic. They were against the principles. So sometimes in with our students also, they have to do certain things which which uh, uh, which are so important for them, but at the crux of when it comes to perform, they are lost. We have seen this. We have seen. I have an example of a student who was so well prepared. I mean, in his preliminary examinations, he was scoring the best among the peers, and suddenly something triggered, and uh, he when he appeared for the examination, he had high fever, and then he was not in a position to perform well, and he got very bad marks. So it happens. There are triggers which can really bewilder you, make you anxious at the time of performance, and then you think, what happened? I mean, why the hell broke loose on me? Uh, why me? I mean, a lot of people ask this question: why me? So uh, I have listed down few problems which our student has faced. By the way, I hope that you got the name of this dashing warrior. He was Arjuna, and on the background you can see the Arjuna is blowing his conch, and Krishna is blowing his conch, which is Panchajanya, and Arjuna is blowing his conch shell before. I mean, he is preparing to fight. So that's Arjuna, for which I was telling you the story. So some problems, as we see, a lot of students face this problem of indecision, fearfulness when they have to perform. Some have panic attacks. I know a relative of mine, whenever he used to appear for an exam, he had panic attacks. He just cannot take in. Few have integrity, identity crisis like Arjuna had. He lost the will to fight, and he lost the purpose to fight, and he lost who he was. He lost that identification also. Uh, Anxiety issues for sure. Distraction, because today we have so many distraction. I mean, the mobiles which our kids start using at a very tender age, that are called weapons of mass distraction. So they distract and they cannot be in the moment. They are always fickle minded. They just cannot focus on the given job. Disorientation, they are not oriented properly to their goals. Sometimes they lack energy, motivation, of course time management, procrastination, which is not doing the things at the right time, low self-esteem, hopelessness, loneliness, poor sleeping habits. We see that our students, or the kids in general, they don't sleep at the proper hour, and because of that they lose some very productive time, which is the early part of the day, in the morning. So that's when the kids or the students can get and memorize and learn the subjects very well, but because of the poor sleep habits they cannot. Obsessiveness, again, for something which they themselves know is not good for them. uh, Traumatic stress, they can have some trauma in their life, and then because of that they are very stressful. Eating disorders, academic challenges for sure, because we see that in the academics the challenges are much more what it used to be before, because everybody is fighting for the best. So definitely there is a challenge there. Family expectations, a lot of we have seen, and there was a movie also sometimes back where the parents have a lot of expectations from their kids. They see their kids as an investment. So whatever money they are putting on the studies and on the bringing up of the child, they think that's an investment, and they should get the most out of it. So there are a lot of family expectations, and if the expectation of the child doesn't meet the expectation of the family or the parents, then there is a huge problem. Uh, Forgetfulness, people have low memory, relationship issues, they cannot relate well either with their near kith and kins, or with the friend circle. They don't have deep meaningful relationship with others. Anger, which is very common thing now in students. Addiction to something. I have some statistics which says that nearly 1 billion people around the world, they smoke. Around 35 million people, they take drugs, and about 250 million people worldwide, they are alcoholics. So we can see, I mean, addiction is, and then we see now lot of students are into it, and they do it, and they themselves know that this is not good, but because of some reason, either they are misguided or they want to find an avenue to get out of the stress or distraction, or their general fearfulness. They are addicted to some substances. Peer pressure, what the friends are doing, what I'm not able to do, indiscipline in general, bullying. So I have listed down few, but you can give me feedback of more issues which you are facing in day-to-day life, and I will try to answer and to tackle them as we go along in future sessions. Now, before we start, I would like you students to take a small test. I mean, because unless we know where we are, then it's difficult to make a path or make a plan to improve ourselves. So before we start, let's do a small self-evaluation. on two things. First, how we think, how you guys are thinking. What's your attitude? What's your behavior? And this can be done with respect to the two qualities, I would say acquired qualities and innate qualities. Innate qualities are the qualities which are very natural to a person. And sometimes it is because of our past impressions that these qualities are there. For example, I will tell you that I know of a person who has never gone to a music school, but he plays all the music instruments well. So, and there are certain people who are tone deaf. So, there are certain things which are very natural. So, that are innate qualities, and of course, the acquired qualities. The acquired qualities are the qualities which we acquire from an environment we are in. So, suppose a student is in an environment which is very competitive, so he acquires that quality of always being competitive, whatever situation he's in. So uh, let's do a small self evaluation. You can yourself write down. I will explain what I mean by when we try to evaluate these three aspects, but keep in mind. And the second thing which we I want to do self evaluation is, what is your personality type? I have seen people who are in general very good, and I have seen people who are in general very very bad. So the personality type is basically what I from our scriptures we see. There are three personality types, the or the three modes we say: the sattva, which is the mode of goodness; the rajas, which is the mode of passion; and tamas, which is the mode of ignorance. So are you a person which is in the mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance? So take a piece of paper, write down the evaluation on the thinking, attitude, and behavior, and on the personality type. Let me further explain. What do I mean? So on the first evaluation, which was for the three things: thinking, attitude, and behavior, uh, our thinking could be positive or negative. For example, we go to a doctor, and the doctor gives you a certain prescription. It could be certain medicines which you have to take, and it has to be certain lifestyle which you have to change. Now, either you can have a positive outlook towards, or you can have faith towards the doctor, that yes, the prescription which he has given to me can really make a difference, and I will be cured of my disease. Or it could be negative, that whatever I do, it has no value. So that's what I mean when I say your thinking. It could be positive or negative. Your attitude could be very different from a different person. For example, there could be certain simple flaws in your attitude, like you want to postpone, you have mood swings. So these are simple bad attitudes. But and it could be serious as well, wherein you get easily irritated. You are you are unable to be a team player. I mean, you want to be alone. You want either it's my way or the highway. You cannot just gel in with the team. So that's a serious flaw. And it could be some grave flaws, like your loyalty issues, your bad mouthing of person behind their back. So these are not good things. So when I say attitude is to take responsibility. What do you mean? What do we mean by responsibility? As a students, we know. By the way, responsibility has the root word which is called respondeer. Respondeer means to respond. Our ability to and that's how responsibility came, which is the ability to respond. So uh, by responsibility, we mean that how you respond in a particular situation, what's your ability, and are you accountable for your actions? because we know that whatever positive or negative we do, there are reactions to that. Uh, Good people do a lot of positive things in the society, and bad people do equally bad things in the society. So when as a student you should be very watchful of that. Are you responsible or not? Are you taking accountability of your actions? Are Do you have the ability to respond as per the situation? We were talking about wisdom at the start. So do you have those elements of being wise, of being thoughtful, insightful? So that's what I mean when I say attitude. So you can do a small self-evaluation. What's your attitude in a particular situation? Is my attitude having simple faults? Are they serious or are they grave? So if you can just do a self-evaluation, it will be good as we move along to really pinpoint where I have to make certain corrections. And of course, if your thinking is positive, if your attitude is of responsibility, your behavior is good. Otherwise, I mean, there are people who when we meet we are so happy, and there are people whenever they go we are very happy. So our behavior tells a lot, but the root of our behavior is our thoughts and it's our attitude. Now, going to the self-evaluation two, I will give you an example of the three personality types. First, I will give you an example of a person which is in the mode of ignorance, and I have taken example of a fox. We know that a fox is very insecure. She's always on the move, looking for certain, somebody is attacking her or not. Very insecure. I mean, you can see videos of how a fox behaves. She is depressed. She is hopeless, and she doesn't take any initiative. In fact, the food which she gets are the leftovers from other animals like lion and tiger. Then we have the lion, which is the personality type of a person in passion. We see that the lions are very aggressive, very independent. They impress people, and they are very ambitious. They want to be known as the king of the jungle. So, and then we have an example of the cow, which is of a personality type of mode in goodness. And we see the cow is calm. She is serving. In fact, the animal which is the most useful animal on the planet is cow. She just eats grass, and whatever she gives, I mean, either it's cow dung or cow urine or milk. In fact, cow is one of the 6 mothers which we have as per the scriptures. She's loving, she's responsible. You must have seen YouTube videos where the cow even feeds a different animal. I mean, I saw once she was feeding a puppy, she was feeding a kitten. So she is responsible. She knows, and she knows what the power of serving and loving. And normally the cow remains calm. So in this modern times where we are so having so bad habits of eating, in our scriptures it is said, even if we drink 2 glasses of milk in the morning and 2 glasses of milk in the evening, that's a perfect food, not only to nourish our body but to our mind also. So let's do an evaluation of which personality type you are. Are you in the mode of ignorance, in the mode of passion, or in the mode of goodness? So I would like you to do this two self-evaluation, and as in future talks, you can yourself see how to progress from the mode of ignorance to the mode of passion, and then of course the best mode, which is the mode of goodness. I also want my students to understand that in certain times, whatever they are striving for, the desired result, is not because of their actions. Sometimes we see that we have done our best efforts, we have put our best efforts, uh, we have done the efforts at the right time, but somehow due to certain reasons out of our control, which basically we call as destiny, the desired result doesn't arrive. So I have seen students, they become very depressed when they don't get the result which they would like. And in that depression, they 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 take extreme steps. I mean, it's very common phenomenon now that we see students ending their lives in a very horrible manner. Uh, in my college days, also, I have seen one student which committed suicide, and I was at that point of time thinking that, I mean, human form of life is such a precious life, and how can anybody, just because of certain things which didn't go well in their lives, can even think of ending the life? I mean, it's the gift of Lord to have this human form of life. uh, in our scriptures, we see there are 84 lakhs different types of species, and out of which a human form of life is the most precious one. Why? Because in this human form of life, we have this power of wisdom, which animals don't have, which plants don't have. Uh, they, they, they basically react to the situations, but we have this unique capability as human beings to really analyze what we are doing. We have this consciousness to to understand what is the purpose of our lives, what we have to do, how we can change ourselves and the society. I mean, we are a thinking guys. We are not like animals and plants and other living beings. So what I try to emphasize here is that let's let's not always, I mean, as students, because they do a lot of efforts and they try to put the best for the desired result, but uh, the duty, I mean, the action which you do, uh, and the duration at which in which you do that particular activity, if the destiny is not on your side, the result will not come. So don't worry. I mean, it could just be that you're not doing the desired, you're not putting the desired efforts, not at the right time. And of course, we will talk about destiny in future sessions. But let me give you an example of a farmer which does his prescribed duty. That means he sows the seeds at the right time, at the right time, which means the duration. But somehow in that particular year, despite of his efforts, the rains don't come, or the rain comes. For example, I was listening that there is an attack of locusts on the fields in lot of states in India. So there are certain things which doesn't allow the farmer to reap the benefits, and he doesn't get the desired result. So what to do? We will talk about the destiny part, and of course what is our prescribed duty, and what is the right time to do it. But please, my students, uh, uh, please don't lose heart. If you don't get the desired result, uh, there are things much more and beyond your immediate results which you are looking for. The Almighty has a plan for you, so don't be depressed. uh, I again pick a shloka from Bhagavad Gita, from chapter 2, verse number 48, where Krishna says that yoga stha kuru karmani Sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhi asiddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. So here the Lord is telling Arjuna that yoga stha, which means equipoised, Kuru, which is Arjuna, he was a Kuru. Karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya. Karmani means your duties. Sangam Tyaktva means giving up the attachment. Siddhi Asiddhyo Samo Bhutva. Siddhi Asiddhi means your success and failures. Samo Bhutva means again to be equipoised, to remain calm. Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. Samatvam is equanimity, and Yoga Uchyate is called yoga. So here the Lord is saying that as students also perform your duty equipoised by abandoning all attachments to either success or to failure. And if you can do that, you are a yogi. Yogi means you are a person which is self-realized. Lot of times I have seen students that they are very much attached to the results, and they are not equipoised because they keep on thinking about the results. And when we think about the result, we lose focus on what we have to do. So Bhagavad Gita clearly says that if you want to become an equipoised person, I mean, an equipoised person, we see there are a lot of people who are equipoised and they do well in their lives for sure, because they take their successes and failures on in the stride. So we just have to do our duty equipoised, without, because as I said, sometimes we do our duty at the right time, but because of destiny, the results don't come. So the success or failure is beyond our reach. What is in our reach is to do our karma, our duties well. So that's what I picked up from our scriptures. And finally, I would say that our destiny determines our situation. Again, don't lose heart, my students. Sometimes people, I mean, lot of people say that why this has happened to me? Why me? Why me? Why me? I mean, it's it was it's not you, because there are certain things which is beyond your control, and so we all are in difficult situation lot of times, but uh, how we act in a particular circumstance, what's your outlook, that's very important. So here it says that destiny determines our situation, I mean the difficult situation or the good situation we are in, but you determine your decisions, which means how you will act in a difficult situation, that is what in your control. That is not in anybody's control. It is in your control. So let me end this with the problem of evil. As I said, a lot of people ask why bad things happen to good people. That's that kind of dilemma, or that kind of question people ask me, and I say, I ask not why bad things happen to good people, but ask what good people do when bad things happen to them. So fellow students, uh, don't don't be overwhelmed. Take simple small steps. We call it the triple S formula. uh, do this to self-evaluation. Take in your mind that whatever duties or the actions which you are doing, of course, if you are doing at the right time, if still it doesn't give you the desired result, don't lose heart, don't become anxious. What I'm saying here is that keep doing your good efforts. If you are doing that right, if you are not attached to the success or failure, I have seen people who are very much attached to the failure, so they always have this fear of failure. If we do that, then of course the destiny also will be with us. We will talk more about destiny in future lectures, but let me summarize. So today I gave you the introduction of these talks, the wisdom talks, as I call it, how Vedas are important in our lives. Then we moved on to the different problems which the students face in day-to-day life. You can identify yourself with a particular problem and give me the feedback. And I would be more than happy to address each of the specific issues which you students have. And then I asked you to do two self-evaluations, one on your thinking, your attitude, and your behavior, and the second one was on the personality type, because that affects you a lot. We need to know where you are, and you need to know where you are, and then take actions accordingly. And then, last but not the least, we talked about the result, which is a combination of 3 Ds, as we call it: duty, destiny, and duration. Or in Hindi, we call it karma, dev, and kal gives the phala. So we learn from our scriptures that we need to be equipoised in performing our actions, and not very much attracted to the outcome of it. And how we react, what is in our control is what we should be worried for. We should not worry for things which is beyond our control. So thank you very much. I will ask for your feedback on my Facebook page, where I will be posting this video, or on the YouTube channel. You can contact me always on wisdomtalks2020@gmail.com. The next topic for which I will be talking about is the anger management. As I said, today people just get angry at the drop of the hat. So how we can do anger management, because that's very important, especially for students, because they have to be very focused. And in when you are angry, you just cannot focus. It's more detrimental to you in any ways. I mean, the anger is the worst emotion you can have. So we will talk about that. Thank you very much. I will just end this lecture with a thought for you to think about, that we are like flood. I mean, you have seen a river which is flooded, and this river, when it is flooded, it breaks the banks. And the students are also like that. They are like floods. But if we need to maintain the sanctity of the banks on the either side, those we can make those banks rigid by 2 things. First, the bank is our parent, and the second bank is our teachers. So if these 2 sides are intact, then the river flows. It doesn't cross the banks. It doesn't breach the banks. And on top of that, if we have the divine intervention, if we are spiritual, we are strong from inside, then that really keeps you, that's the dam. So in a flooded river, if you have a dam at the end, you can utilize the energy of the river, I mean the flood. Otherwise, it causes destruction. So thank you very much. Stay safe in this pandemic situation, and let me know about your feedback. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.